Every destination leads to you. Henry had always believed that first impressions were important, and unfortunately, his first impression of Tommy was terrible. As a senior university student majoring in tourism management, Henry loved everything related to travel. He could spend hours reading about different cultures, planning dream itineraries, and learning how tourism could help local communities while protecting nature and historical sites. His younger brother, Athelstan, often joked that Henry knew more about famous destinations than most travel agencies. Athelstan's boyfriend, Andrew, had heard these speeches many times and usually laughed whenever Henry started explaining another interesting travel fact. One evening, Athelstan organized a birthday dinner and announced that Andrew's cousin Tommy would be joining them. According to Andrew, Tommy had just returned from a year-long exchange program in Europe, where he had visited more than 10 countries while studying international business. By the time Tommy arrived at the restaurant, Henry was already tired of hearing how amazing he was. The young man walked in with a calm expression, greeted everyone politely, and sat beside Andrew. He was undeniably attractive, with sharp features and confident body language, but there was something about his quiet attitude that immediately irritated Henry. Throughout dinner, Henry naturally became the center of conversation when someone asked about his graduation project on sustainable tourism. Excited by the topic, he explained how destinations such as Kyoto in Japan had successfully preserved traditional culture while welcoming millions of visitors every year. He also talked about the importance of responsible travel, encouraging tourists to support local businesses instead of large international chains. Most people listened with interest, but Tommy remained unusually quiet until Henry finished speaking. Then he calmly said that Kyoto was actually facing serious over-tourism problems and that local authorities were struggling to balance economic benefits with the protection of residents' daily lives. The comment was completely correct, but the way Tommy said it felt like a challenge. Henry immediately defended his point, and before long, the two were debating almost every travel-related topic that appeared during dinner. When Henry mentioned Iceland as one of the world's best examples of sustainable tourism because of its renewable geothermal energy, Tommy added details about government regulations that limited environmental damage in popular tourist areas. When Henry talked about backpacking across Southeast Asia, highlighting affordable routes through Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia, Tommy shared stories about traveling through Switzerland, Austria, and Germany by train, explaining how Europe's rail systems encouraged environmentally friendly transportation. The discussion became increasingly competitive, with each trying to prove that his knowledge was better than the others. Meanwhile, Andrew and Athelstan watched the situation unfold with growing amusement. They noticed something neither Tommy nor Henry seemed willing to admit: both men were intelligent, passionate, stubborn, and extremely proud. The similarities between them were obvious to everyone else. By the end of the evening, Henry was convinced that Tommy was arrogant, cold, and impossible to like. Tommy, on the other hand, believed Henry talked far too much and always needed to be right. As they left the restaurant, neither bothered to say goodbye properly. What neither of them realized was that fate had very different plans. Their first meeting might have ended with annoyance and frustration, but it was also the beginning of a journey that would take them across beautiful destinations, through misunderstandings and unexpected feelings, and eventually toward a love neither of them could imagine that night. After the disastrous birthday dinner, Henry hoped he would never have to see Tommy again. Unfortunately, life seemed determined to prove him wrong. A few weeks later, Henry's university announced a special tourism competition for final-year students. The goal was to create a 7-day travel itinerary that combined cultural experiences, environmental responsibility, and local economic development. The winning team would receive funding for a real research trip and the opportunity to present their project to several tourism companies. Henry was excited the moment he heard about it. This was exactly the kind of challenge he loved. However, his excitement disappeared when his professor announced that the teams would include students from different faculties and external participants. When the final list was released, Henry nearly dropped his phone. The first name under his team was Tommy. "You must be kidding me," he muttered. Across town, Tommy had a very similar reaction when Andrew sent him a screenshot of the team list. Neither of them was happy about the arrangement, but neither wanted to quit either. the competition was too important. Their first meeting took place in the university library. Henry arrived early with notebooks, travel guides, and several articles about sustainable tourism. Tommy walked in 10 minutes later carrying only a laptop and a cup of coffee. The moment their eyes met, the atmosphere became awkward. "I see we're working together," Henry said. "Looks like it," Tommy replied. "Try not to turn every discussion into a lecture." Henry frowned immediately. "And you try not to act like you're smarter than everyone else." The project should have been a disaster. Every meeting turned into an argument. Henry wanted to focus on cultural tourism and local experiences, while Tommy insisted that transportation, budget management, and environmental impact were equally important. However, despite all the disagreements, something unexpected happened. Their project slowly became stronger. Henry had extensive knowledge about destinations, history, and traveler experiences. Tommy was excellent at planning logistics, solving problems, and identifying weaknesses in their ideas. Together, they designed an impressive travel route through northern Thailand. They included visits to ancient temples in Chiang Mai, community-based tourism projects in local villages, hiking routes in Doi Inthanon National Park, and workshops where visitors could learn traditional crafts directly from local artisans. During their research, Henry explained how community-based tourism helped local residents earn income while preserving their culture. Tommy added information about limiting visitor numbers to reduce environmental pressure on popular attractions. For the first time, Henry realized that Tommy's opinions were not meant to criticize him. Tommy simply looked at problems from a different perspective. Likewise, Tommy began noticing that Henry's enthusiasm was genuine. He wasn't trying to show off. He truly loved traveling and wanted people to understand the value of responsible tourism. One evening, after several hours of working on their presentation, the university cafeteria was almost empty. Henry was still reviewing slides when Tommy suddenly placed a bottle of water beside him. "You've been staring at that screen for 3 hours, Tommy said. "Take a break." Henry looked up, surprised. "Are you worried about me?" Tommy immediately looked away. "No. I just don't want my teammate collapsing before the competition." Henry laughed for the first time since they had met. To Tommy's surprise, he found himself smiling as well. Neither of them noticed Andrew and Athelstan watching from the opposite side of the cafeteria. "Do you think they realize they're getting along?" Andrew asked quietly. Athelstan shook his head. "Not even a little." A few days later, their project was selected as one of the winners. As the team celebrated, the professor announced another surprise. The research trip to northern Thailand would begin in 2 weeks, and all participants would travel together. Henry's smile disappeared instantly. Tommy looked equally shocked. They had survived working together. Now they were going to spend an entire week traveling together. Neither of them knew that this trip would change everything. 2 weeks passed quickly, and before Henry could mentally prepare himself, he found himself standing at the airport with Athelstan, Andrew, and Tommy. Their destination was Chiang Mai, one of the most famous cities in northern Thailand. Known as the cultural capital of the country, Chiang Mai attracted millions of visitors every year with its ancient temples, mountain landscapes, colorful night markets, and rich Lana heritage. Henry had spent days researching the region and was excited despite the fact that he would be traveling with Tommy. The flight itself was uneventful, but as soon as they landed, Andrew and Athelstan naturally stayed close together, leaving Henry and Tommy to handle most of the practical arrangements. To Henry's surprise, Tommy was incredibly organized. He had already checked transportation schedules, accommodation details, emergency contacts, and weather forecasts. While Henry focused on discovering attractions and cultural experiences, Tommy always seemed to be thinking 3 steps ahead. Their first stop was the old city of Chiang Mai, surrounded by ancient walls and moats that dated back more than 700 years. As they walked through narrow streets lined with cafes and temples, Henry enthusiastically explained that Chiang Mai had once been the capital of the Lana Kingdom and remained an important cultural center. Tommy listened quietly before adding interesting details about how tourism had helped preserve many historical sites while also creating economic opportunities for local communities. For the first time, their conversation felt more like a discussion than an argument. The following day, the group visited Doi Inthanon National Park, home to Thailand's highest mountain. The area was famous for its cool climate, waterfalls, cloud forests, and diverse wildlife. Along the hiking trail, Henry excitedly pointed out information boards about conservation programs while Tommy carried most of the group's supplies without complaining. After a sudden rain shower, the path became slippery. Henry, distracted by taking photographs of the scenery, stepped on a wet rock and nearly lost his balance. Before he could fall, a hand quickly grabbed his wrist. Tommy pulled him back towards stable ground. For a few seconds, neither of them moved. Henry could feel his heart beating much faster than it should have. "Try looking where you're walking," Tommy said softly. "Some people would say thank you." Henry quickly pulled his hand away. "Thank you." Tommy smiled slightly. "You're welcome." The moment should have felt awkward, but strangely it didn't. That evening, they visited the famous Chiang Mai Night Bazaar, where hundreds of stalls sold handmade crafts, clothing, souvenirs, and local food. As they explored the crowded market, Henry found himself laughing more than usual. Tommy's sense of humor was surprisingly good when he actually chose to show it. They tried mango sticky rice, grilled seafood, and traditional northern Thai dishes while discussing future destinations they wanted to visit. Henry admitted that one of his dreams was to see the northern lights in Norway. Tommy confessed that he wanted to visit New Zealand because of its breathtaking natural landscapes and sustainable tourism policies. The conversation flowed naturally, making it difficult to believe they had disliked each other only a few weeks earlier. However, the peaceful atmosphere did not last. On the third day of the trip, while visiting a cultural tourism conference organized for the competition participants, Henry noticed Tommy talking to a beautiful young woman from Germany. They seemed comfortable together, laughing and discussing something enthusiastically. Throughout the afternoon, the woman remained near Tommy, and several times Henry caught them smiling at each other. An uncomfortable feeling settled in his chest. He didn't understand why seeing Tommy with someone else bothered him so much. Later that evening, while walking back to the hotel, Henry accidentally overheard part of their conversation. "I'd love to work with you in the future," the woman said. Tommy smiled. "That sounds interesting. Let's discuss it more tomorrow." Henry stopped walking. For some reason, those words hurt more than they should have. He immediately looked away and continued toward the hotel without waiting for Tommy. Behind him, Tommy watched Henry leave with a confused expression, completely unaware that a misunderstanding had just begun, one that would soon change the course of their relationship forever. After overhearing Tommy's conversation with the German woman, Henry could not stop thinking about it. He knew it was none of his business, yet every time he saw Tommy smiling at her during the following day, a strange feeling twisted inside his chest. For the first time since they had met, Henry avoided Tommy on purpose. He answered questions with short responses, walked ahead of the group whenever possible, and spent most of his time talking to Andrew and Athelstan instead. Tommy immediately noticed the change. Just a few days earlier, Henry had laughed at his jokes and eagerly discussed travel destinations with him. Now it felt as if a wall had suddenly appeared between them. Whenever Tommy tried to start a conversation, Henry found an excuse to leave. The situation became increasingly frustrating because Tommy had no idea what he had done wrong. Meanwhile, Andrew and Athelstan observed everything with growing concern. "He's jealous," Andrew whispered one evening while watching Henry stare at Tommy and the German woman from across the hotel lobby. "Definitely jealous," Athelstan agreed. "The problem is that Henry doesn't even realize it yet." The next morning, the group traveled to a small mountain village known for its community-based tourism program. The village welcomed visitors who wanted to experience local traditions while supporting the residents directly. Tourists could stay with local families, learn traditional weaving techniques, and participate in farming activities. The project had become a successful example of sustainable tourism because it generated income without damaging the environment or forcing villagers to abandon their culture. Henry normally loved places like this, but his mood remained unusually bad. During a guided trek through the surrounding mountains, he became distracted once again. Instead of following the group carefully, he wandered onto a smaller trail while taking photographs of the landscape. At first, he thought he could easily find his way back. However, after 20 minutes of walking, he realized he was completely lost. The mountain forest was beautiful but confusing. The paths looked similar, and the deeper Henry walked, the less familiar the surroundings became. His phone signal disappeared. As the afternoon sun slowly began to set, anxiety replaced his frustration. Back at the village, the guide eventually noticed Henry was missing. Everyone immediately started searching. Tommy was the first person to volunteer. Ignoring the guide's suggestion to wait for additional help, he grabbed a flashlight and headed into the forest. For nearly 3 hours, he searched every trail he could find. The further he walked, the more worried he became. Images of Henry injured and alone kept appearing in his mind. Only then did Tommy fully realize how important Henry had become to him. As darkness approached, Tommy finally heard someone calling his name. Following the sound, he found Henry sitting beside a small stream. Relief flooded through him so quickly that he almost lost his breath. Without thinking, Tommy rushed forward and pulled Henry into a tight embrace. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Henry could hear Tommy's heartbeat racing against his chest. "Do you have any idea how worried I was?" Tommy asked quietly. His voice was shaking. Henry looked up in surprise. He had never seen Tommy like this before. "I'm sorry," he said honestly. "I didn't mean to get lost." Tommy sighed and sat beside him. For several minutes, they simply listened to the sound of water flowing through the forest. Finally, Henry gathered the courage to ask the question that had been bothering him for days. "That woman from Germany, are you dating her?" Tommy blinked before suddenly laughing. "What?" Henry immediately looked embarrassed. "Forget I asked." Tommy shook his head. "Her name is Clara. She works for an international tourism organization. She offered me an internship opportunity after graduation." Henry stared at him. "That's all?" "That's all." Tommy paused before smiling slightly. "Were you jealous?" Henry's face turned bright red. The silence that followed was answer enough. Tommy's smile softened. "Henry, there has never been anyone else." The way he said those words made Henry's heart skip a beat. As they walked back toward the village under the light of the stars, neither of them spoke much. They no longer needed to. The misunderstanding had finally disappeared, leaving behind a truth both of them had been avoiding for weeks. Somewhere between university projects, endless arguments, and beautiful destinations, dislike had quietly transformed into something much deeper. And for the first time, both Tommy and Henry were ready to admit it. The only question remaining was whether they would be brave enough to say it out loud. The final days of the trip felt completely different from the beginning. After getting lost in the mountains and clearing up their misunderstanding, Henry and Tommy no longer tried to hide their feelings from each other. They still argued sometimes, but their conversations were now filled with smiles and playful teasing instead of annoyance. Andrew and Athelstan quickly noticed the change and enjoyed watching the two stubborn men slowly fall for each other. On the last day of their journey, the group visited Wat Phra That Doi Suthep, one of Thailand's most famous temples, located high on a mountain overlooking Chiang Mai. As they admired the breathtaking view of the city below, Henry talked about the temple's history and cultural importance while Tommy listened with genuine interest. Later that evening, they traveled to a quiet viewpoint outside the city to watch the sunset. The sky slowly turned shades of orange, pink, and purple, creating a peaceful atmosphere that made everyone reflective. Henry looked at the beautiful landscape and realized how much his life had changed during this trip. At the beginning, he had wanted nothing to do with Tommy. Now, the thought of returning home and no longer seeing him every day made his chest feel unexpectedly heavy. As the conversation turned to their favorite memories from the trip, Henry admitted that the most valuable part of traveling was not the destinations themselves but the people you met along the way. Tommy understood exactly what he meant. Gathering his courage, Tommy finally confessed that despite their terrible first meeting, he had gradually fallen in love with Henry's passion, kindness, and determination. Henry laughed nervously before admitting that he had felt the same way for quite some time. Without caring who was watching, Tommy gently took Henry's hand, and for the first time, neither of them felt the need to hide their feelings. Andrew and Athelstan immediately celebrated as if they had been waiting for this moment all along, which, in truth, they had. A few months later, after graduating from university, Henry and Tommy launched a travel blog together. Combining Henry's knowledge of culture and tourism with Tommy's talent for planning and organization, the blog quickly became popular among young travelers. They shared travel guides, sustainable tourism tips, local cultural experiences, and stories from their adventures around the world. Meanwhile, Andrew and Athelstan continued building their own future together, happier than ever. The four of them traveled whenever they had the opportunity, exploring new countries, learning about different cultures, and creating unforgettable memories. Looking back, Henry often laughed at how much he had disliked Tommy when they first met. If someone had told him that the arrogant, annoying man from that birthday dinner would eventually become the love of his life, he would never have believed it. Yet life, much like travel, was full of unexpected turns. Sometimes the wrong road led to the most beautiful destination. And for Tommy and Henry, that destination was each other. The end. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to support me and motivate me to create more videos.